B2B productivity software saves marriages. Shopify goes all in, but on Fintech. And Stuart Butterfield records a really interesting podcast about Slack notifications. That and more on this week's PLG123. Let's dive in. So tab one. Tab one is from the New York Times and is about using B2B productivity software to solve your personal life. Specifically to solve family life and relationships and managing kids as parents. There's a lot to keep track of and it's kind of hard to do on a simple to-do list, so productivity software is here to save the day. This article points to a lot of great PLG products, including Airtable, ClickUp, and others. And look, this is not exactly a novel concept. We've even talked about this before on the PLG123, but people are using productivity software and B2B products for their personal lives. We've seen parents who are homeschooling using Trello for their lesson planning and syllabi. We've seen life wikis on Notion to manage your life. And yes, we've all been on a million awkward Zooms with our family and friends trying to figure out video conferencing. I can't tell if this is serious or not, but it's definitely entertaining. You can see here that on the weekly sprint for May 3rd is to talk through our fight on Friday with a step-by-step plan as to how to diagnose what went wrong. All I can say is Megan and Lev, the two people in this relationship, I wish you guys the best and I hope that Airtable solved your problems. Tab 2. Tab 2 is from Shopify.com and is the announcement of their new product called Shopify Balance. Shopify Balance is a fintech product. It basically allows Shopify merchants to have a bank account that's funded by direct deposits of their Shopify sales, and then spend that money on a Shopify branded debit card. Setting up business banking, especially as a first-time entrepreneur, which many Shopify merchants are, is not exactly easy and can be a roadblock to starting that new store or becoming a Shopify merchant. So Shopify is not only creating a new business line for them by getting into fintech, but they're also further removing friction to merchants creating new stores. So it's a double win. It's definitely going to be interesting to watch as Shopify and other platforms go into the fintech game. What happens to players like Brex and others that seem to be squarely in the sights of where Shopify is heading? It's been referred to more than once in the past, but I do think we should bring back the term platform wars. And tab 3. Tab 3 is from The Verge, and specifically the Vergecast podcast. This episode featured Stuart Butterfield, the CEO of Slack. He had great insights on the future of work and specifically the role of offices versus remote in this future of work. This one quote stood out to me in a big way. Offices exist principally to facilitate people sitting at desks using computers. And I think we can all agree in a pre-COVID world, that very much was the case. But as remote work was already rising and now has been dramatically precipitated by COVID, the future of work is upon us. And what Butterfield says is that instead of offices facilitating people sitting at desks using computers, offices will facilitate collaboration. And then the desk work, the computer work can happen wherever you want, whenever you want, because fundamentally we've realized that flexibility is a thing. What also came up on this podcast a lot was notifications and obviously Slack notifications and what Slack can do to make your life a little bit less hectic when it comes to notifications. And Butterfield says that Slack has a bunch of things they have done and will continue to do to manage the problem. But any of us who live on Slack, which kind of all of us do these days, realize that I don't know if this problem is ever really fully going to get solved. And it's not just me saying that. This is a great segue into a bonus tab. Today's bonus tab is from TechCrunch and features an interview with GitLab's head of remote. Now, I didn't know that head of remote was a title, but this guy really cashed in because he is probably the most in-demand person on the face of the earth right now. He could work anywhere he wants and name his price to do it. And he's picked GitLab, so that says something good about GitLab and their approach to remote. Now, what's interesting about this article, back to my comments about Slack notifications, is that GitLab says they do no work communication in Slack. None. It's a policy. And in fact, after 90 days, they delete every single Slack message. They do this principally for two reasons. One, GitLab is a collaboration product, so they are dogfooding their own product instead of using Slack, so that makes sense. But two, they also talk about the notification issue and how Slack is a great place to have personal conversations and share GIFs and all kinds of fun stuff, but might be more distracting than it is helpful, at least in their view. So this is more of the same as to what we've always seen with Slack, but at least the company's doing something to help mitigate the notifications to a certain degree. That does it for this week on the PLG123. Make sure to follow me on LinkedIn for some more PLG content, and stay tuned for another episode drop of the PLG123 coming at you next week. Hope you've had a great week, and take care, guys.